Hello, sisters. Welcome to the Imakhou podcast, where we unlock our potential, one story, one step, one sister at a time. I'm Aïcha, your host. In each episode, we'll share real talk, actionable tips, and inspiring journeys to help you navigate your career, whether you're climbing the corporate ladder or building your own empire. So grab your tea, your water, your coffee, find your tribe, and let's get ready to grow together. Hello, sisters. Welcome back to the Imakhou podcast. I'm Aïcha, your host, and I am so excited to have Diana joining me today. Hi, Diana.
Hello again.
Sisters, today we are going to tackle a very, very, very interesting and so deep topic.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about it yesterday a little bit, Diana, and
a huge one.
So we're going to talk about the often confusing theme of purpose, objectives. Purpose, objectives. So what are we going to do today, Diana? To dive into it, dissect it? How do we do this?
I think you want to talk about one person specifically on that point.
Yes, correct. So the reason we're having this conversation today is actually thanks to one of the sisters who shared about her struggle at the moment. So let's set the scene. So first of all, to that sister, thank you. Thank you for opening up about your challenges, opening up about your struggle, and more importantly, taking this space, the Imakhou space, to actually put down these conversations. And so I was having that conversation with a sister. And so she did ask for her name not to be displayed for privacy purposes, and we totally respect that. Let's call her Amari.
Amari.
Yes. Amari in ancient Egypt means strength of nature. So
Love it.
I really want to celebrate her today because it takes courage and strength to come and talk about those topics.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sister. So we were talking about her current challenges. So she's going through a shift in her life. She wants to get out of the audit. So she's doing audit at the moment, finance. You know what I'm talking about, Diana.
So I have been 20 years in finance area. I'm still doing a bit of it. It's an area that is very competitive. I would say you're always analyzing the past and the future, not talking about the now, because it's never now.
And that is exactly the struggle she was having. She did not like just doing the numbers. And we got to the point where she dropped this sentence at me and said, I don't know what my purpose is. And at that point I thought, let's dive a little bit into it. So here I am asking her, what do you mean by I don't know what my purpose is? What is it you want to do? And she starts citing all of these things she wants to do. One, I want to get out of audit. I'm more an analytical person, so I want to get into it. Okay. What is another thing that I want to do? Oh, I want to earn more money. But in order to do that, I have to change companies so that I can get that jump, that salary jump. Okay. What else? And the more I'm diving into it, the more I realize that she has actually those short-term goals. She wants to change job. So career path, she needs a shift. She wants to earn more money. She wants to travel more. She would like a bigger apartment as well. And all of these things, I end up as I thought these are all nice things to have. And I ask her, but what's your purpose? And I get the funniest reaction. She's speechless.
Okay.
And
So how did you react when you decided this wasn't your?
well, obviously, it was funny to me because I was there once, and it took me a bit of work, and obviously this kind of conversations to realize that I'm not working towards my purpose. I'm working towards short-term or mid-term goals, but not my purpose deep down. And because she was speechless, I was laughing. Well, I wasn't laughing at her, but I was laughing, at her reaction. And she turned around and asked me, "What difference is that? These are my purposes." And I told her, "No, these are short-term goals." And I want to stop here a little bit and talk about what we discussed, Diana, when we started this conversation around purpose and objective. And there is one thing that you said: what happens once you hit that objective?
Yes. So you told me about today's topic. It was purpose versus objective. Yes. And I told you that, hey, why versus? Both goes together. Both kind of thing. I think it can end and not the.
It's just like versus. Correct. No, true. So one of the things that I did after we had the conversation was look up the definition of purpose.
Can you tell us about
versus objectives? And so purpose is more of a big vision that you have. For example, the vision of a company, the purpose, of a company, and I'm doing this purposefully, by the way. The purpose of a company, would be to be profitable. But in order to do that, there are objectives, long term. There are measurable, exactly, the SMART objectives. And when we try and translate it into a human being lives, as in this sister, for instance, Amari's life, or even yours or mine life, we could look at it as, so for me, for example, my purpose when I found it was to create this space, this community. My purpose is to be of service, and if I can impact the life of one sister, just one, then I've hit, my purpose is fulfilled. And the objectives around all of this, so one of the objectives was to, for instance, create a website, start writing the blog, because I have so much in my head. I need to find a way to get it out.
It's more like an action plan then.
Exactly. So that's when I started looking between the difference between, not the difference, but the correlation between purpose and objective. What about you, Diana?
Once upon a time, I gave a workshop. I learned about Ikigai.
I did my Ikigai. Yeah. Everybody should do their own Ikigai. But
what is Ikigai? I will just read the definition of it. Ikigai is a Japanese term that blends two words, iki meaning to live and gai meaning reason, which translate to a reason to live. It's a concept that encourages people to discover what truly matters to them and to live a life filled with purpose and joy.
Can you insist on the joy part?
I won't insist on the joy part because joy is an emotion. And we also talk about this. If you want to experience joy, you also have to experience all human emotions. The first episode was also about emotions.
True.
Yeah. This is my cup of tea.
I cannot even test her on that one.
You can. It's fine. But we really encourage you girls, sisters, to go and find your Ikigai. You just type in the concept on internet, and it's the intersection of 4 elements: what you love, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, what you are good at. And in the middle of this, you find the Ikigai. Please go and check on that.
So it's funny, when I did my Ikigai, the first time I heard about it was about 2.5 years ago. And when I did the exercise, what came out for me was actually being of service. And everything around what I'm good at, what I can be paid for, what the world needs. It was really focused, centered around community, teaching things to other people, being of service, bringing change into the world, being an impact having an impact on my environment.
What you're talking about, I think it's more your mission then. So you're passionate about, if I summarize what you said for the Ikigai, I think, so your passion is to be on service. This is even a vocation. And then your mission is to serve with several workshops, platforms, or wherever. And it can be a profession if you get paid for it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Nice. And that was it was an eye opener, because when I started Imakhou, it was a business strategy activity. And at a certain point, I just thought, this is not me. Don't get me wrong. I like money. No, I love money like anybody else. I want my bank account to be a little bit fatter.
Let's admit this too.
But it wasn't my goal. I was just not feeling aligned with me offering this kind of services to entrepreneurs, to some companies out there. It was just not me. Hence, when I started really thinking about what is my mission? What is it I am here for? And I sat down. It was just obvious. So Imakhou started, it was a business strategy activity, but Imakhou was already all about speak your truth. And I told myself, can you start by yourself? Please. It just doesn't make sense. You're trying to speak your truth, but you're trying to sell your services and you're not aligned with yourself. So back to the conversation with the sister, when we got to that core question, she started thinking and said, well, now that you're telling me this, I'm realizing that there are these activities that I would like to start running towards the youth back in Africa, and I'm not doing any of that. So you see, the whole it's just one conversation.
Yeah.
And she's planning to get back into those activities.
I think it's also a question of life experience. For example,
on that one,
I worked in a lot of corporation, different style, big ones, small ones, medium size. But since little, I am also into service. I love to serve. I started with numbers, with after sales calls during 2.5 years, and then with HR, marketing, sales, management, whatever. But then something is missing. I was working for companies that the purpose were not aligned with mine. So I was thinking, something is missing out there.
So to your point, Diana, that is exactly what Amari told me. Said, I'm working for a company, but I don't see the value that I'm bringing. I don't see how my values match the company's value.
Yeah.
Hence, I feel like I'm not in the right place.
Not aligned.
Not aligned. And what I'm being asked to do, I don't even see the results of my work. So I have no idea how that is impacting the company, even some of my colleagues internally, some of the companies we are auditing externally, how that work impacts what I'm doing.
So I will jump on this with the why. Start with the why from Simon Sinek that you push it. Start with why. So first, company or leaders in the company must know the why. The employees do not necessarily see why they are doing what they do. And sometimes the company don't care about if they know the why of what the company is doing.
Do you think it is something that we should because it's one thing for companies to give you their whys, but when they don't do that, do you think it's up to us as employees, as individual collaborators, to actually go to your upper management and ask, why am I doing this?
both way. I think both answer is yes.
Okay. Because to your point, this is one of the topics on which I challenge the people I speak with, the sisters I speak with, when they go with, oh, but I'm not really sure. I ask them, did you take the time actually to ask that question? Why are we doing what we're doing?
I will jump on this because as a woman, a human being, sometimes we are so afraid to disturb the others.
Okay.
Managers are here to answer to the questions of their team.
Yeah.
And sometimes we think, or maybe some managers are not on the right area position. And I think they are open somehow. Depends on how you bring it on the table and not putting their ego and attacking, but just asking, hey, yeah, you asked me to do this. Can you just tell me why and what are the impacts if I do a mistake on that number?
It's funny, I have the complete opposite. Well, it has a lot to do with my personality, don't get me wrong. So when I started my career, I remember this was the first thing I used to ask. Why am I doing what I'm doing right now? Not necessarily because I was conscious of the fact that I needed to be aligned with the company's values, but I wanted to make sure that what I was doing made sense so that I wouldn't be wasting my time. And obviously, the more I moved the further I moved into my career, the why became more of the, listen, okay, tell me why I'm doing this now and how it links to any other department or teams so that I can be of service and bring my excellent level into it. And we're not going to go in circle and waste time. Again, it boils down to wasting time.
It's not only about wasting time.
Yeah.
What do you feel? And now if we zoom out, it's more really about the community.
Exactly. Yeah, I hear you on that.
Everyone has a task, and if someone does not do the task, then the project cannot move on. And this is the point. Are we aware that it's about the project, the whole vision? Sometimes we cannot see, but we have still a mission. The objective is still to do.
It's like the minions, you are part of a chain, and if you don't understand where you're sitting in the chain and how your work is going to impact the entire chain.
And it can create friction amongst departments.
Exactly.
For example, if we take a simple product that we have to build, I had this experience. The production team never understand the marketing team. They don't speak the same language.
Tell me about it.
And they were arguing on the board always. And I say, but the point is that we have to market it, right? The product you built is amazing, but now marketing has to market it. Yeah, but we want them to tell the truth, the characteristics, and so on. Not only blah, blah, doing just the show. Why do we spend so much money on marketing and the product at this point is just this cost and we don't get the gain of it? And this was a huge challenge, and every company has this kind of little frictions.
Yeah, so it's really to understand how we're serving a larger purpose, not just the little bubble we're sitting here.
And it takes courage and strength and intelligence. Emotional intelligence comes in here.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that part? Because, there's the technical aspect. So you just mentioned two departments, the technical one and the marketing, not speaking the same language. But how do you get to that point?
If I would manage the board with those two, I would just make sure with what the marketing is doing, but with technical words. Production are more people that are blue in some test technology, Dirk and Insights and Nova Global, whatever, a lot of tests. Blue person are more analytical, anchored, and they want details, and they calculated the risk and everything to make sure that it will happen.
Risk averse, highly risk averse people. So they want everything to be, they want to be in control.
Yeah.
They want to be in control, and they wanted to see the outcomes.
It's not only outcomes, they are very tangible. It's on the rock. And the marketing people are more yellow people. That means they are more social, blah, blah. And they lack the human context, and they talk about it without knowing how it functions. If both two collaborate, they are the perfect team. The yellow can close, and the blue can just say, hey, this is how you benefit from this product and how they can help you scale your numbers or your mission or whatever.
Okay. So it's really a matter of understanding. So one, understanding yourself, and two, making sure that you understand the language of the other person. You understand what their how do you call it? What their needs are.
I think it's more to be open. It's not they don't function like you. And each department are complementary. They are not in competition.
So a lot of self-awareness in here. Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's get back to Amari's case where she feels like her work has no value in the company she's working with, she's working for. So where do you start when you're in such a situation? It's not even a situation. This is definitely a conundrum. Okay. Where do you start?
I had the same situation. I was Amari at the time.
Oh my God, Amari, this one is for you. Listen very, very carefully.
I had the same position as her. And I was doing, I think, in 1 week, more than 1,000 invoices. I have to enter them in the system. And I entered them very quickly. And somehow I did a mistake on 1 0. I added 1 more 0 on invoices.
Oopsie.
At that point, I was asking to go to the director's room. And then he sat me down and said, I'm very upset and so on. You did a mistake.
Okay.
And I was so upset because I said, it's 1 mistake amongst 1,000 invoices. I don't understand why you're so upset. I enter all these invoices. Come on, that quick, that on time and so on. And you just hit me on that. And I was very upset. And then I went back at my desk office and my colleagues saw me. And then he told me, are you okay? And I said, no, I'm not. It's unfair. I don't want to work again. I don't see my value here.
All right. Clearly upset with this situation. So how did you tackle that little conundrum while being clearly upset?
Thanks to my colleague, he took the time to sit me down and to explain me why my mistakes impacted the whole closing.
Right.
And I understood that, wow, I am so important at the beginning of the chain.
Wow. Perspective shift.
Yeah, and I understand why my financial director was so upset, because he, behind the scene, has the board on him, has everything on him.
The full pressure is that he's the one who has to clean up the mess.
Exactly.
Okay.
And 1 0 changed every decision.
Wow. That reminds me. So to your point, that emotional intelligence is so important, because had he come to you and told you, listen, next time, make sure that you don't make such a mistake, because this is the impact. You are an important, a crucial part of the chain.
You know what he did? But I was not listening, as I was on upset mode.
See? On your end as well, the emotional intelligence was lacking at that point.
And I was young. And when I calmed down, my other colleague took the time to tell me about this and remind me how important my job is.
So really taking the time to understand.
To cool down.
Well, obviously one, to cool down.
To cool down and do nothing when we are upset at the job just because we had a frustration somewhere. Just go have a walk, have a coffee, or do something else, talk about anything else. Maybe sit with a colleague and just release this emotion and then come back slowly to, okay, what was the point? It's not about me.
Exactly. It's you're part of a bigger play, a bigger picture. Now, so Amari, if you're listening to this, make sure that you understand where you're sitting in the picture and how important you are, because you have obviously been hired at that position for a reason, for your skills, for your experience. So take the time to dive a little bit more into that. Now, would you qualify that as a purpose or an objective?
Company hire people on objective, but for their purpose. And all the person that are only employees, I mean, only because you don't have another level of control on it, you have task. The task has to be done. And we don't ask you for your permission. It's like we pay you in exchange of a salary. You have to do this. So it's fair. It's a fair contract.
So I always say this. Oh no, we're having these kind of conversations where when the sisters get upset, I don't understand. I just say, hold on. You need to understand that when you enter a contract with a company, you are selling your expertise, your experience, and your time to help the company actually achieve their goals. And to some extent, it's a little bit of a dictatorship because now you don't have a say into it. And the moment you sign a contract, you're accepting the fact that you don't have a say into it. So you have when you enter that contract, you have your objectives in the form of tasks, which needs to be completed in order for you to say, give me my money at the end of the month. Right.
So now let's go. I agree with that. It's so important to underline it, highlight it. I will also jump on another aspect. We don't ask you to be creative. We ask you to enter in a box. And you agreed at the beginning.
True.
And then you changed your mind and you want more. But when you want more money, what do you put more on the table? You can negotiate more if you put more. If your task is just to, for example, enter the invoice in the system, how can you ask for more?
True.
But if I go to the manager and say, hey, I can enter those invoices quicker because now I know how to do it, and I can add this and analyze how the ROI turns out and maybe do the sell part or the optimization part. And we can.
So you're bringing extra value
exactly
to the table. But so I totally agree with everything you just said, Diana. The one thing I believe people actually are struggling a bit is to be aligned with the vision maybe of the company. It could be maybe because they don't understand it or they haven't been told what the vision is, what the purpose of the company is.
Come on, Aïcha. Nowadays, the vision and mission are on all platforms.
Hold on. I was getting there.
No, I'm kidding, but it's so true.
And you have a point. No, you have a point. I mean, the bare minimum is at least to investigate the company you're applying to. Yes, that's the bare minimum. It's like going on a date. When you go on a date, even if it's a blind date, the first thing that you do is to get to understand who am I talking to? Who do I have in front of me? So you do that. There's that level of research that you have to do. However, when you start working for that company, you are reporting under a manager, a director, a VP, you name it. And turns out that maybe the values that they're putting on the table do not align with yours. And that's where the what I call the imbalance happens. And in the case of Amari specifically, I know that what happens is that she did not feel her values matching with, the way she was being treated. And I don't know the world of finance. You know it better than me, but the way she described it, it sounded to me like it was absolutely impersonal. It's only about numbers. She did not feel seen. She did not feel valued in what she was doing. So just there.
That's why here you got a point. There is a department called Human Resources.
How many people actually trust human resources nowadays? Come on, Diana, let's
dive in. Let's dive in. I totally agree with you. And I will jump on why we don't trust them anymore.
Let's talk about first the managers and the values. When you don't feel seen, you don't feel valued. What could be?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to. I don't want to talk from my own experience because it's totally different from her. We're not from the same industry. Finance, the world of finance sounds so specific.
It's very competitive.
Okay. So that could be reason number one, and she's not a competitive person.
And it's funny because when I worked for all those companies in finance, the finance people tend to eat together, to do things together, and not with the other departments. This highlights something very interesting. And I love to talk to anyone. So I was like, why? Why not? And I understand.
They're holding the money of the company. They don't want you to uncover.
And you got a point here, I think, because if marketing come and say, hey, finance people, can you give budget? Hey, production people come in, hey, finance people.
So it's the way of shielding themselves. Okay.
And they have the confidentiality. Maybe those people are afraid to also put some numbers.
Inadvertently.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because they know the salaries of
everyone.
They know how the company is going. Will they get fired? Who do we keep? They actually have a lot of power. Why do we do finance? Why those people are highly paid? Because based on what they provide, the board take decisions.
Okay.
And it can have huge impact.
Okay. So would you say that someone like Amari who doesn't feel like her job has a purpose because, well, we challenge that. Maybe she should actually sit down with her manager and try and understand what is it I'm doing and why am I doing what I'm doing. But at a bigger level, at a higher level, sorry. When we talk about the values, how do you think, as someone who feels that their values do not match anymore or do not match from the get-go, how can they actually, before saying, I'm out, I can't do this, or just, bottling up everything until you just go completely mad at your colleagues, how do you make sure that you find that thread so that you can stay, at least you can find a path? How do you do that?
I don't think we can. If the gap is too, I've experienced this more than 10 times. I've changed 20 companies.
Okay.
But because I wanted that and I know where I wanted to go. But I don't think when you're unsatisfied, you can hide the frustration, hide your full mess, that you can hide just one at a time.
Okay. So
the picture get bigger and bigger.
Okay. So basically what you're saying is to make sure that you work on your exit strategy and move on to something else.
not exit. If you like the company and what the purpose of the company is, you can stay, but maybe change department, add some tasks on other side, maybe talk to other directors.
Okay.
Just have an open discussion, but be aware of what you're saying.
So
specifically to the HR.
So awareness
for sure.
Acute awareness and just adding extra value to your daily activities, cross functions, maybe
also go to other department and talk to them.
Cross functions. Okay. Now, so I'm getting back to Mary again because the conversation was so rich, and I can only condense here. One of the things she was struggling with was obviously not liking being in audit, because she realized that she was more of an analytical person. So she decided to move, to change company and to shift and basically do a transfer of her skills to another position. But now she understands that her purpose is that social aspect and empowering the youth in her country back home in Africa. She wants to build a school, by the way.
We need to talk. We have common goals.
So, Amari, make sure that when you listen to this episode, make sure that you reach out to Diana. You might be able to do things with her. This is what I love about this community. So what she understood was that because she has that purpose, she has to set those objectives in order to reach the goal.
First of all, I want to acknowledge her. That thanks to her experience, now she knows better where her heart wants her to go. And she's doing this internal reflection that is so crucial for her to find her enlightenment.
Not the easiest, by the way, but necessary. So you're acknowledging her, and I say we celebrate her as well, because the work she's putting in, that is what is going to be the light.
This is how I think also plants blossom.
Yes. Through struggle.
And we don't see how they go daily in the order to go.
No, we don't. But it's a lot of work, and that's what we're here for.
Why you call her Amari? Courageous.
Yes, absolutely. And this is where this is another conversation I'm planning to have with her. And it's interesting because it brought me back to my why and the whole exercise around why am I doing what I do? Why am I reacting the way I react? I remember that was the speech that you did the other day. Yeah. Why? Why are we doing what we're doing?
And I get summarized this with 3 questions. I'm the perfect example to be too far. And people say, come on, why do you ask so much why? And I say, because I'm curious. I want to understand. And actually, you don't need to. It's not necessary. The more you ask why, somehow you don't do anything. I was at that point.
Okay.
And I summarize it with 3 questions, and those are deep.
Hit us. Come on.
First one. Can you answer those questions on the...
Look at this woman. She was trying to find a way. Okay, try me.
Nice. Aïcha.
Yeah.
Why do you do what you do?
Why do I do what I do? Do you mean generally speaking, or why am I doing what I'm doing right now?
Follow your heart.
All right. I do what I do because I want to see change in the world, but I know that I have to be that change first.
Thank you. Second question. Why do you live the way you live?
Oof. Why do I live the way I live? Because I like to be comfortable.
Nice. Thank you. Last question, but not least. Why are you who you are?
Ooh, that one is deep. Do you think we have enough time to answer that one, Iron?
2-3 sentences.
Look, why am I who I am? I would say three. I like the number 3 at the moment. So first, because of my parents, my education. Second, because of the environment, or more the environments I navigated, I grew up in, because there have been multiple of those. And 3, because of the decisions I've made in my life, they led me where I am. And if I were to be asked the question, would you change anything if you were given the opportunity to do that? The answer is a straight no, because I know I wouldn't be the person I am today.
Thank you so much for your answers. And I think I would just let you sisters answer those 3 questions. And if you want to participate, I create an Instagram page where I put all the answers of the people that I interviewed on, and maybe it can help everyone to grow, to see other style of thinking, and to say that it's okay to change also perspective tomorrow. But for sure, you have some answers already.
So why is the big question actually to ask yourself? That's the big question.
Fulfillment, to feel whole. And I think human beings are meant to be together.
Absolutely agree with you on that. Amen to it.
But not with everyone. We are not compatible with everyone. So find your community.
Absolutely.
And I think the next big thing would be micro communities, but really micro communities. That's how we start.
That's exactly how we start. So if I were to shorten everything that we just discussed, getting back to Amari's case, ask yourself. So first, run your Ikigai, please, ladies. That one is going to be very helpful. Your why is your North Star. And it helps you actually to create that roadmap with objectives, so that you can keep on going, keep on moving towards that North Star. It's an ongoing process, by the way. There's no end to it. So the whole point is not to hit the goal or hit the purpose. The whole point really is to enjoy the journey.
And how to enjoy it somehow is to be silenced, to listen to your little inner child again. Let her talk to you.
I would say we would need another podcast to talk about that inner child and how you should stay still and silent so that you can hear the answers that you want. But we're not here for that. We're talking about purpose. We're talking about objective. If you have the opportunity, again, I insist on that one, Ikigai. Thank you, Diana, for reminding us about it, because I didn't even think about it because it's so embedded into my daily life now. But Ikigai is a good start. If you don't have the opportunity to do it, just sit down and wonder, what is my why? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And how am I going to move towards it? Simon Sinek's book is also can be a good read to go through. I personally haven't read it. I just know about the main lessons that you can get out of it. But think about it as you're just putting in place your roadmap, because this life, you're supposed to live it. Back to Amari, I know she's doing well at the moment. She managed at least to hit her objective number 1, which was to move from audit to analytics. So congratulations. I wanted also to use this opportunity to celebrate her, because this podcast is not about just talking about those serious topics, but it's also a way for us to celebrate the sisters who are moving out there, who are putting in the work. So Amari, big congratulations to you. Very happy. Now, so but more importantly, the why. I was mentioning Simon Sinek's book. The why can help create a movement. And it ties back to what you were saying, Diana, micro communities. You don't need to have the biggest or the most impactful, the most genius, because we're living in a society of, oh, this is the last great thing, this is the last trend, No, you don't need to have thousands of people behind you. Micro communities. Hear Diana's word. Hear her words. I'm telling you, sisters, the next big thing is the micro community. That little community you have around you.
One at a time, as Imakhou wanted to do.
One story, one sister at a time. Time has flown, Diana. We're already at the end of this podcast.
As always.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for such a beautiful conversation. And we'll make sure that Amara listens to this podcast. Sisters, if you have a question, you're facing a conundrum, you just want to have a conversation, we're here for that. The whole point is really to share and to make sure that the rest of the sisters around in this community are benefiting from it, just as Amari did.
Thank you so much, Aïcha, for bringing on the table all these hot topics, all your conversation that are private and keeping them somehow private for the person, but bringing on the value for others. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Diana, for supporting me on this journey, because I know I wouldn't be able to do it all by myself. That's the purpose of a community.
Micro communities.
Micro communities. Again, ladies, hear Diana's word. Look for your community. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll see you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye, sisters. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Imakhou podcast. We hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. Join the Imakhou movement and connect with us on our website, imakhou.com, and our social platforms. We look forward to seeing you again next time. And remember, rise together, shine brighter.